Let's be real for a second. Have you ever been standing in a room, completely alone, talking out loud to yourself, and then, out of nowhere, you hear footsteps down the hallway? You freeze, shut your mouth right up, act like you're coughing or maybe humming some song. Why do we feel so embarrassed? Because growing up, society taught us this unwritten rule: talking to yourself is weird. It's lonely, or worse, you've lost your mind. But modern psychology, it says the exact opposite. That habit you're always trying to hide might not be a flaw at all. It's a misunderstood superpower. Today, we're diving into 6 rare psychological traits found in people who think out loud when no one's listening. And by the end of this video, you'll never look at this habit the same way again. Trait number 1, a crazy high level of self-awareness. Think back to the last time you caught yourself talking out loud in an empty room going, "Why on earth did I just act like that?" Do you realize what just happened in that moment? Right then, your mind literally split in two. One part of you was the person who just acted, and the other part stepped back to watch. Most people out there live their entire lives on autopilot, like a car stuck on cruise control. They get mad, they lash out, they impulse shop, they make terrible decisions. But they never stop to ask why. They just react. People who talk to themselves are different. When you ask yourself a question out loud, you force your brain to look in the mirror. You don't just feel angry, you interrogate the anger. You don't just make a choice, you demand your brain explain itself. This habit builds a kind of psychological distance. It turns you from someone being dragged around by your emotions into the clear-headed observer of your own life. Trait number 2, exceptional problem-solving skills. Have you ever wondered why chess grandmasters are always whispering under their breath during a match, or why the best coders keep a little rubber duck on their desk just to sit there and explain their code to a duck? Psychologists call this the self-explanation effect. When a thought stays trapped inside your head, it's like a tangled ball of yarn. Everything's blurry, overlapping, messy. But the second you speak out loud, you force your brain to do one thing: condense that chaos into actual, logical words. Speaking forces your thinking to slow down. And here's the cool part: your voice acts like a real-time error filter. A plan can sound completely bulletproof in your head, but the moment you say it out loud, boom, you hear how ridiculous it sounds right away. The flaw pops out. Your brain catches its own mistake before reality knocks you down. People who think out loud aren't doing it because they're smarter than you. They just think more clearly, simply because they know how to bring their thoughts into the light. Trait number 3, exceptional emotional regulation. I want you to try a little experiment next time you're spiraling or super stressed, say right before a big interview or a high-stakes meeting. Don't sit there in your head going, "I'm so nervous, I can't do this." Instead, call yourself by name. Say it out loud. "Okay, Jason, calm down. You've handled way worse than this. You got this." Sounds a little crazy, right? But psychologist Ethan Kross over at the University of Michigan proved that simply shifting your pronouns, swapping I for you, or using your actual name flips a switch in your brain. When you use I, you're drowning right in the middle of the emotional storm. You're the victim. But the second you say your own name, you create instant psychological distance. You step right into the shoes of a coach, a best friend standing outside the storm, giving solid, rational advice. People who do this naturally bounce back insanely fast. They don't get swallowed alive by negative emotions because they've always got that inner coach ready to talk them off the ledge at a moment's notice. Trait number 4, next-level creativity. Look back at history. Steve Jobs was famous for going on long walks, talking out loud to himself just to spark new ideas. Nikola Tesla would lock himself in a room for hours, holding full-blown conversations about his inventions. At its core, creativity is just connecting two things that don't seem to belong together. When a thought stays locked in your head, it tends to run down the same well-worn tracks. But the second you speak it out loud, you get to play both sides. You can ask yourself, wait, what if we did the exact opposite? And then reply in a completely different tone. That's not a sign you're losing it. That's you holding a brainstorming session with the smartest version of yourself. Ideas collide in thin air, weird connections spark, and that's literally how masterpieces are born. Trait number 5, insane focus and mental performance. We tend to picture a focused person as someone sitting dead still, quiet, not making a sound. But psychology studies actually show the exact opposite. In one well-known experiment, researchers had 2 groups look for a hidden object in a cluttered room. The group allowed to repeat the name of the object out loud found it way faster than the group searching in complete silence. The sound of your own voice acts like an attentional anchor. When you say out loud, "Focus on this report, finish by 5, keys, wallet, phone," your voice drowns out all the background noise. It stops your brain from wandering off into random thoughts. Pro athletes use this trick all the time. They bark short commands out loud to lock in their focus right before a big jump or play. If you talk to yourself while you work, you're not distracted. You're acting as your own coach, keeping your mind from drifting off course. And the final trait, which is also the absolute rarest: unshakable independence of thought and a relentless drive to upgrade yourself. In a world where you unlock your phone and 1,000 algorithms jump at the chance to tell you how to think, what to buy, and how to live, the ability to sit down and talk to yourself is a deeply rebellious act, a healthy kind of rebellion. People who talk to themselves don't rush online to seek validation from the crowd. They turn inward first. They stress test their ideas against their own judgment. They get comfortable with their inner voice, learning to trust their own logic before borrowing someone else's brain. And most importantly, they view their own life like a project in constant development. After a rough day, they don't just throw their hands up and sigh. They ask out loud, "Where did I mess up today? How do I do this differently next time?" That's a constant feedback loop, a place where you hold yourself accountable, forgive yourself, and pick yourself back up for tomorrow. So, next time you catch yourself standing in an empty room, whispering or talking away to yourself, don't jump to feel embarrassed. Don't quickly turn around and act like nothing happened. Because that voice in the empty room, it's not a sign of a mind losing its grip. It's the sound of a brain working, creating, healing itself, and refusing to stop pushing forward. You've been holding on to a deeply powerful tool all along. Society just made you think it was a weakness. If this video gave you a fresh way to see yourself, hit that subscribe button for Deep Shift. We're here to help you pull back the curtain on the hidden behavioral patterns behind human psychology. And before you go, drop a comment down below. Do you have a habit of talking to yourself when you're alone? And out of those 6 traits, which one sounds the most like you? I'd love to hear your story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.